Yeah, Wall Street's woes, that may mean that fewer masters of the universe are gorging themselves at New York's finest steakhouses. But there may be at least one bright spot for the restaurant industry, so you got to go inside the kitchen if you want to find out. Right now, we're joined by Alan Stillman. He is the chairman and CEO of the Smith & Wollensky Restaurant Group. And Alan, it's great to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Becky. Nice to see you.
You know, we've been talking an awful lot about Wall Street's troubles, what that means for the New York area and beyond. We've heard from the governor of New Jersey how important the Wall Street money is just for this state as well. What's it mean for your restaurants?
Well, he's New Jersey, I'm New York, and New York City has become a completely diverging point for the entire country. It's the first time in my years in the restaurant business, especially at Smith & Wollensky, where I can honestly say that New York City is a completely different country than the rest of the United States, and it's been that way for the last year. So places that are in the food business, especially the high end of the food business, are struggling around the country, but they're booming in New York.
And it's not because of Wall Street.
Hell of a
right?
good time.
Yeah, it's not because of Wall Street. Is it because of the tourists who are coming to New York?
Well, it's partially the tourists, but it's not all the tourists. What we've got is we've got a lot of financial people, and we've got a lot of Wall Street people that are still coming in. And it seems to me that people gravitate towards places where they're going to be comfortable, and they've been comfortable. So in times of recession, and I've gone through this before 10 times, people like to go to places that they can feel comfortable in, and they know they're going to get what they've bargained for. So,
but in recessions in the past, have you seen a drop in the number of people coming in, or at least the amount that they're spending on a dinner?
Not really. What we've seen is the same thing we're seeing now. People that were buying $400 bottles of wine are now buying $200 bottles of wine.
So the wine, you are seeing it there.
Oh, yes, we've definitely seen it down. We've seen that in the last 30 years. Every time there is a recession, we see that. But we don't really see too much of a drop-off in the number of people coming in. We're dealing with probably the top 10% of the economy.
This is more of a Wall Street recession and a financial recession, although it's spreading now to the average consumer.
Right.
But this seems even more focused on Wall Street.
You would think so.
But then again, if you know, a lot of these Wall Streeters, their bonus isn't going to be $8 million, it's going to be $4 or $5 million. If they want a steak, they can still have a steak, I guess.
You're in my category. That's what happened the last 7 or 8 times. Yes, they will give up buying a $250,000 car and buying an $80,000 car.
Or the $1,000 bottle of wine. Yeah.
But it certainly doesn't seem they're going to stop having a steak.
What do you hear about other restaurants, sort of the next tier down restaurants in New York? Are they starting to pay the price here for this?
No, I haven't heard that either. I've spoken to an awful lot of the people in the industry, and they seem to be also booming away in New York City and not doing so well outside of New York City.
I have to say, anytime I want a reservation, it's still as tough to get as ever.
It seems that way, that's for sure. My son runs 2 restaurants in New York now, Quality Meats and Park Avenue, summer, winter, spring. I was going there the other day, and I couldn't get in myself.
Well, now
my son got in.
There you go.
The next thing to worry about is that the world, apparently, there's another 2 billion people around the world that want to eat meat now, and they're quickly coming into our level of, they're quickly not emerging countries anymore. They're going to be developed countries. Are we going to be priced out? Are people going to be priced out of the beef market? The grain market? Are we going to be able to handle this?
Because we're in the United States?
Just in general, 20 years from now, will it be much more expensive to have a big steak?
I'll tell you, Joe, 20 years from now, I'm not worried about. How about next year?
For a while, when the commodity boom was in full force, with the soybeans and grains at these prices, and where the real possibility that beef farmers would have to raise prices to where a steak would cost $100. Well, I don't know what it is. It probably costs $100 already.
Does not. $45.
But what about it? Is there enough to go around if the rest of the world starts eating like that?
I don't think anybody can make that judgment yet, because what the beef farmers did is they took their beef to the slaughterhouses early, because the cost of grain, the cost of corn, the cost of everything was going up so high that instead of getting their beef into the slaughterhouse where it was going to cost people more money, they brought them in earlier to make up for the feed. Now, the general opinion is that 6 months from now, they're not going to be able to do that because there's going to be less cattle out there.
And it takes a while for those breeder cattle
to
be brought up to weight.
And therefore, you might have a real downturn in the amount of cattle around, and that could cause the price of beef to go up. But we have not seen that at this point. and the futures market does not say that it's going to happen. So I'm sort of at a loss, and it's not easy to be able to predict something, as you know, like futures.
Well, maybe the weaker economy will hold down the price of beef at that point at which there's less supply.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
right?
Listen, I brought you people some steak knives so that if you really want to cut up some people, you're going to be able to do it on your own.
There you go, Becky.
Oh. Well, thank you very much.
Make sure that you've got the ability.
Do we have to bring these ourselves to the restaurant,
Absolutely.
or they'll give us fresh knives?
Every time you come in, we put them in a box and keep them for you.
Awesome.
Alan, I want to thank you very much for joining us
Thanks
today.
for having me. It was a pleasure.
We appreciate the insights, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
Okay.